How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we are doing another entry in the, well, I guess me reading the stories that you all have sent in, like sharing stories, sharing your stories. If you're new to this, essentially all that's going on here is people from the Vanlifeplus community have sent in their life stories, either how they ended up in a van or what they hope to, or how they hope to end up in a van or living that nomadic lifestyle. But it doesn't even need to be that specific. If you just want to write in and share your life experiences and how maybe, positivity has helped you gain a better foothold or an understanding of your life and how, what you've gone through, anything you guys really want to share. That is the whole point of this, because this community is pretty darn cool in the way that it supports itself and one another. So I'm not sure how many we'll do today. 3, maybe 4. We'll see how it goes. I got a couple longer ones, but we will start on the shorter side of things with a very quick sort of fable sent in by Mike. And Mike writes in and he says, I purchased a van and converted it a couple of years back. Because my dog was at the age where she was unable to come on adventures with me, I actually own my home, but I found that I prefer to spend the majority of my free time in my van. Now that my dog has crossed the Rainbow Bridge, I plan on spending more time in my van during the warmer months, even during my work weeks. I live near Crown Land, so I will be in the wilderness and then travel into town while I'm at work. And that's it. What a way to start with the passing of a pet. But I mean, that's like real life, right? Like that stuff happens, and there's always reasons why people don't take whatever it is that they're doing to the extreme, and the extreme in this case being in the van more often. His puppy wasn't able to join him so much, and now that she has passed on to hopefully a more peaceful place, Mike is looking towards the future and looking towards spending more time in where apparently you really enjoy being, which is super cool. And I totally get that idea of, even though you still own sticks and bricks property like that, you still prefer to be in the van. There's something about this lifestyle, just even if you're just a weekend warrior or somebody who just kind of does, camping in the nice seasons and whatnot, especially if you've built it yourself, right? Like I can stand here and tell, or I guess sit here and tell all of you that, yeah, there's a certain level of pride that comes along with building your own little tiny home. And I take breaks, right? I go, like when I visit my parents, I'll usually sleep downstairs on the couch. I was just recently in a hotel. I'll get into that in the next vlog. But it's always nice to come back to the van. You almost find yourself missing your tiny little home. So, Mike, while I'm very sorry to hear about the passing of your puppy, I'm sure you know that you gave them a very good life while they were here with you, better than the alternative had you not had them in your life. So, and I'm also very happy that you're looking forward to the future and getting back into your van and doing more traveling. That's super cool. Okay, so this next story, like I said, is a little bit on the longer side. We're not cutting. Stella's using the litter box, unless, of course, she does what we think she's going to do. You wouldn't dare. Okay. This was sent in by Sarah Rose, who has been a long-time supporter of the channel. She's also a very active member over on my Patreon community. And she titled this email, Why Sarah Rose Doesn't Give a What Others Think. It's almost like me and her, a little bit simpatico on this. She did say at the beginning, feel free to use or not use my name and edit at will. Well, Sarah, I haven't edited anything, and I will do my best to do your words justice. So Sarah writes in and she says, there are those defining moments in your life that change your trajectory in a blink of an eye. Those moments that make you who you are today. At 17, I was in a car accident that took my chances of a free ride to college and hopes of Olympic Games away. In college, there was an incident that completely shifted my view of the world. Hearing that I would never have children afterwards, I buried myself deep into anything that numbed the pain. Not drugs or alcohol, but anything that would get my adrenaline pumping, just to feel happy. I put myself in some pretty death-defying situations and luckily survived. After college, I sought jobs that put me out in the middle of nature and I was perfectly content leading a solitary life. I moved around the western United States working temporary and short-term jobs in wildlife and fisheries, sometimes living in my vehicle, sometimes in a tent, sometimes in an apartment. All really good memories, and I was finally at peace again. While in Washington as a fisheries biologist, I was able to land a free ride after all for a master's program in biology. It was supposed to be 2 to 3 years, then back to nature for me. During my final year, while I was trying to complete my classes and thesis, I got myself knocked up. Defied modern medicine. Dad and I tried to make it work, but in the end, it turned to shit. We are all in a good place now, but it trapped me where I am as a co-parent. Then, in 2010, on the other side of my family, there were 2 kids that were taken by the state and in foster care. I jumped through a lot of hoops to adopt those 2, including my purchase of a sticks and bricks for stability. She put stability in quotations. I found myself jumping through more hoops over the next 10 years, losing myself for the sake of others. Then March 2020 hit, and North America went sideways. As everyone was going home and or losing their jobs, I was one of the lucky ones that was considered essential. Here I was, a single mom, trying to hold a full-time job, homeschooling 3 middle schoolers, and checking on aging parents. I was cracking on the inside, but holding it in because I had this notion it was what I was supposed to do. Then I started losing friends. The first was Kurt, who left his goodbye on Facebook. The cruelty of people tore me up, especially the cruelty of his own family. Then my friend David, then John, all self-inflicted. I signed off Facebook. I knew I wasn't going to survive that negativity. I wanted to be more productive and start a project. I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole when I came across a guy who looks like Santa that lived in a van down by the river. I knew I needed to get back to nature and was going to build a box top trailer. The more I researched, the more ideas I had. Then I got sick in December 2020. For 3 months while I was recovering, I honed my 5-year plan. I had a large wish list to purchase and was just waiting for warmer weather. I finally was doing something for myself and started to feel hope again. By January 2021, I started watching van lifers in Canada, especially Chrome. I don't mean any disrespect, but Chrome sometimes was clueless and people would always feel the need to correct him. I loved reading the comments and getting ideas for my build, and I'm happy he was diligent about taking out the D-bag comments as I was still avoiding online negativity. I also saw red comments from a few future YouTubers there as well. One of them with the same paneling as Chrome. I became a lurker trying to find ideas for my own build. On the way to a scout campout late February 2021, I took a wrong turn and saw Jet Girl for the first time. This gave me goosebumps, Sarah. A beautiful 5x10 cargo trailer, high clearance, and I could stand in her. Didn't want dirty knees like Chrome anymore. Box top, box drop trailer out, cargo trailer for the win. Early March 2021, I was taking her and a trifold mattress out for our first camping trip. I have been creating my perfect system between my 4Runner and cargo trailer, the dynamic duo I affectionately call Tank Girl and Jet Girl. Yes, that's a movie reference. I plan to live nomadically once the kids graduate high school. But how does this explain why Sarah Rose doesn't give a fuck what others think? When I was in college, I did, and my mouth got me in a lot of trouble. After college, there was no one there to really care what they thought, and I was completely happy. I was forced to care when adopting for children, and it wasn't until the pandemic that I realized what was making me so unhappy was basing my self-worth off others' opinions of me. F that. I don't need to share myself or opinions anymore, but if my past can help someone to for a better future, I'll open up. And on the reverse, if I trust someone to have my 6, I'll listen. But I'm done basing my self-worth and asking how high when someone else says to jump. In order to live on my terms, I had to stop giving a what others thought, and I am truly a happier person for it. Oh yeah, Sarah, you and I are each other's spirit animals. That's for darn sure. I said it was making me tear up or getting to me there because obviously I've spoken to Sarah at length. I know a lot of her situation. So when we started to see the inklings of the birth of Tank Girl and Jet Girl, it was quite cool. You did very well. Thank you very much for sharing that, Sarah. That is that's really what it comes down to when you have that attitude and that mindset. I get, like in there you said I didn't want to share anymore, yet here you are sharing, and that is the perfect definition of exactly the subject line of this email. And it is something that I, as you know, truly believe in. We spend far too much time in our lives thinking what other people or organizations or institutions think of us. And I truly believe that is 100% unhealthy behavior. It's from all the bad crap like body shaming and making people feel embarrassed for decisions they might make, all the way to the stuff that seems like good things, like you're supposed to live in sticks and bricks, you're supposed to have a mortgage, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. All of that stuff falls into the category of trying to do what other people think we should be doing. And that is why this sort of lifestyle speaks to me, and why I believe it speaks to you, and why you are finally able to find that little bit of happiness that has now become an abundance of happiness for you. We are on the same page there. That it's a great story. I'm sorry you lost those friends the way you did. I don't think you are alone in that at all. We have all, as a collective, gone through some pretty turbulent times over the last 2.5, 3 years. And I'm glad that you began lurking after seeing another van lifer with similar paneling. I appreciate that, Sarah. That was great. All right, let's do another one here. This comes from Matthew. Good name, sir. He writes in and he says, "Hey, Matthew. Stumbled upon your channel browsing the old YouTube. My wife and I live in our van on Vancouver Island and have been for about 4 months now. Our very first van was just like yours. Then we went on to sell it to get something that we can stand up in. We had a house for a while that we ended up selling because, to be honest, we got bored and kind of restless. We saw an opportunity to make some cash and downsized out of choice. I no longer need to work 6 days a week to afford a roof over my head, and to me that means everything. As much as I love to work, I love my own personal time. I couldn't agree more when you say that society makes us believe that we should fall in a certain box, live a certain way, or do certain things to impress others. Don't think those were your exact words, but you know what I mean." I surely do, sir. "During the winter months, we have been house sitting for people here around the island, enjoying some luxuries while we can, but I'm already looking forward to going back in the van. Hope you're staying warm wherever you are at," which I think I saw was Alberta. Yes, it is, sir. "My mom also lives there in Fairview. Anyways, if you're ever on the West Coast, let's meet up. Keep up the hard work on the videos, Matthew." Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you sharing that. It's interesting how these three, I didn't plan this, but so far these three stories all have this very similar through line of everything, of not wanting to conform and always wanting to get back to your van or your vehicle that you've built, right? That's, yeah, 100% exactly what you say. I mean, of course, you're doing it on the right side of the country. You're on the island, so you're not going to have the absolutely insane temperatures that I will have here, at least not for any sort of extended period of time. And it's cool that you're doing the house sitting. That is a great opportunity for van lifers to take advantage of stuff like that. It's exactly like you said, for a little bit of a break, enjoy some luxuries, and then, like most of us, you just are looking forward to getting back to your van. And yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of van lifers out there. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I don't actually know. But to me, when I first started looking at van life, that was the first thing that it screamed at me, was nonconformity. Because you've got a problem or you take issue with, not in a extremely argumentative or disrespectful way, but you take issue with the way you see society structured, right? And that's what, to me, I always thought, well, all van lifers think that way. I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. I've met and watched a few that don't fit into that category at all. But to me, it was always sort of a way to buck the system because, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much, Matthew. I appreciate you writing in, my man. All right, I'm going to do one more here. It comes from Dark Soul, who's been around the channel for a while. I don't think that's the name her mother gave her. I know it's not. It's Kim. Kim has been around my channel for a while now. I think maybe ever since the channel took off back about a year ago almost. Wow. Anyways, Kim writes in. Obviously, it's funny how I always said Kim writes in. It's true. They do write in. I'm going to always say that. Kim says, "Hello, Matt. You know me as Dark Soul. My name is Kim. I'm a 60-year-old mom and grandmother. In the fall of 1997, I was a single mom raising 3 kids. 13, 10, and 9. Girl. When we were forced to move, when the house we were renting the basement apartment from was condemned." This was back in 1997. Sorry, I shouldn't have paused there. Ruined the inflection. "The owners were hoarders and someone called the city on them. Long story short, we were given just an hour to get what we needed and get out by the police. The upstairs floors were sagging and made it unsafe for us to stay in our apartment. The owners were given the option to do the necessary repairs or lose the property. Once the owners moved back in, they told me that my kids and I were not welcomed back there and our things were in the trash. I later learned that they had kept everything from a mutual friend. From the time we were kicked out till our car finally died in 2000 after hitting a really deep pothole, my boys and I lived in it. My daughter stayed with her grandfather. I worked the overnight shift in a locked facility, and there were armed security who you had to check in with when entering the property. I would park my car next to the main front door, and my boys knew the code to enter the building to use the bathroom. They would bring in a backpack and take mini showers in the sink. I did the same, only I would wash up at a gas station and go to a park to wash my hair. We lived in our 1991 Pontiac Le Mans, and I homeschooled my boys. When we would get to where I worked around 11 p.m., we would lay the back seat down and spread out the boys' sleeping bags along with a comforter over the top of both. They would go inside and use the bathroom, then come out into their sleeping bags while I ran the car till it was time for me to go in. During my breaks, I would go out and run the heater. This went on for about a week till one of the guards brought an extension cord and a small heater and gave it to us. He told me I would have to come out on my last break and unplug it, which I did. We lived like this from October 1997 until April of 2000. During the summer, it was easier to deal with. My boys spent the evenings with friends, and I would pick them up around 1 a.m. I would work from 4 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and during the off season, and 11:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. during on season. Finding outdoor showers wasn't hard. Some friends let us use their showers once they realized we were living in our car if we wanted to. They would let me cook meals that all we had to do was heat in a microwave or at the park on one of the grills, and they even filled empty 2 liters with water so we could have something to drink. It was hard, yet an experience that I loved. I'm disabled now, AFib and congestive heart failure, plus arthritis throughout my body, and now more issues are showing up. But I'm still planning on getting a van after I have eye surgery. I'm planning on living full-time in it for as long as I possibly can. My disabilities won't stop or deter me from living my dream. My dream is to get a van, hopefully something inexpensive since I'm on a very low income, aka SSI. Something that's easy on gas and great on mileage since I want to travel and explore all of the sites in backcountry here in the US. Then, head up to Canada. I really got into watching van vlogs when I saw Bob Wells years ago. Then I came across Chrome's, aka Van City Van Life's first vlog, and have been hooked on watching them as well as Jared Tochi. I had to add a little spice to my lineup of male van lifers, hence, that's where you and Joseph, aka Sharing the Wild, come in. You all have given me so many ideas, but the one thing you have all said, and keep on saying, don't let your fear stop you from living your life to the fullest. Thank you for this chance to tell my story, hopes and dreams. Wow, Kim, I should start proofreading these. Thank you so much for sharing that. I gotta say, I was so worried this was just going to end worse off than it did. But you even turned it around. You said, yes, it was hard. And no kidding. I don't know how many people out there, well, I'm sure there's lots, but majority of people, I don't know how many could say that they can absolutely relate to what you went through with your children in tow as well. That is a absolute testament to your soul as a human being and as a determined mother. Sorry, as a dad, this is really getting to me. Hang on. I didn't think this was going to happen right now. That's, you did what needed to be done. You just, grinned and bared it, and you did it, and you got it done, and now you've got this incredible story that you can share. And it is such a, you are a champion. That's what I'm going to say. Like, that is, without a doubt, an absolutely incredible story. And that's the kind of story that really, really illustrates the determination of the human spirit. Thank you so much for writing in, Kim. Again, that through line stayed there. You mentioned Bob Wells, and that's the van lifer down by the river that looks like Santa that Sarah mentioned, I'm sure. And everybody kind of watches and experiences the same things. I love that even through it all, here you are. You're in your, well, we'll say your golden years, the best times are yet to come years. You've done your due diligence, and now you're going to get rewarded. And you're struggling. You've got your health concerns, yet through all of that, you're still like, no, I'm getting a van. This is my dream, and I'm going to do it. And with that kind of attitude, I have no doubt, Kim, that you absolutely will be able to accomplish that. You got all your priorities right, and I don't think for a second the universe is not going to reward you for all of your hard work. Doesn't even begin to cover what you did, girl. I applaud you 100%. That's incredible. I am definitely gonna stop this entry here. Wow, that was great. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. If any of you have any sort of feedback, please reach out in the comments to all of the people who submitted their stories. That was some pretty moving material for sure. If you want to share your experience, your story, whether it's with van life, the nomadic life, or even living in sticks and bricks, and why you might enjoy watching channels such as this, please don't hesitate. Send those stories into vanlifepluscontact@gmail.com. I will be happy, more than happy, to share your stories here on the channel. And until the next one, you guys, just go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive. And I'll see you all in the next one.